Hello, so today we are here to solve this lead code problem number 605. It's an easy problem. Can place flowers. So you have a long flower bed in which some of the plots are planted and some are not. However, flowers cannot be planted in adjacent plots. Okay. Given an integer array flower bed containing zeros and ones, where zero means empty and one means not empty, and an integer n return if n new flowers can be planted in the flower bed without violating the no adjacent flowers rule. Okay, so we have been given the flower bed and we have been given a number of new flowers that we have to put. So in here we can see that we have a 1, so we have to leave this empty. Then we have a 0, so we can place it here if the next is 0. So next is 0, so we can place it here, and then that is a true. And then in the next case we have 1, then 0, then 0 again, and this 0 has leading and trailing 0, so we can place one flower here. But then we have reached the end of the flower bed and still left with one flower, so we return false. I think we can simply do it by iterating over this array of flower bed and plant wherever we find uh, a 0 followed by another 0 and a leading 0. So it's like if we find a combination like this, then we can plant here. Okay, and also we can plant at the beginning here if this is 0. Let's look at the constraints. 10 raised to 2, 10 raised to power 4, the length. There are no two adjacent flowers in flower bed, so we don't have to check if flower bed is um, true or false. So it's already true. Correct placement is there already. So for let I equals to 0, I is less than flower bed dot length. Let's call it n, const n equals to this. Okay, n is already given. Let's change the name to m, m and I plus plus. And this m is going to be this. Okay, now what we do is we check if I equals to 0. If I equals to 0, so one condition is this, that is if I equals to 0 and I minus 1 equals to 0 and I plus 1 equals to 0. Okay, we can, instead of having it here, we can put it inside. So if I minus 1 is greater than 0, either it is less than 0, so in that case we do nothing, uh, and this is going to be flower bed I. If this is 0 and I minus 1 is less than 0, or flower bed I minus 1 is 0 and if I plus 1 is equals to m, or flower bed plus 1 equals to 0, In that case, we pot the flower, that is, we make flower bed I equals to 1, and also we reduce n minus minus. And if n is 0, we break out of the loop, and then we return if n is greater than, is less than, equals to 0. Okay, I think this should work. Let's try to dry run first and then we can see. So we have this. Now we come to 1. So n is 1. So we skip this condition. We come inside. I is not 0, so we move to next. Then this is 0, and I minus 1 is not less than 0, and flower bed I minus 1 is not equals to 0, so we move to next. So now we have flower bed I equals to 0, that is this, and then I minus 1 is not less than 0, but flower bed I minus 1 is equals to 0. Yes, and then I plus 1 is not equals to m, but flower bed I plus 1 equals to 0. So what we do is we set it to 1 and then do n minus minus. In the next iteration we have n equals to 0. So if n equals to 0, we return true, otherwise we return false. Let's look at the second example. We have the same up to here. So we move to the next. Now it's 0, but this is not 0, so we move to next. Now this is 1, so we come out of the loop, n is still 1, and it will return false. It's correct. Let's try to submit. It's taking some time. I just hope it doesn't get time limit exceeded. Even though it's just fan. Oh, it got accepted. Nice. Thank you. That's all for today. Bye bye.